To stop the spread of COVID-19, it's very important we all do our part. Okay, so we've placed all of our audio, our voiceover, our sound effects, and our music tracks. We've color coded them accordingly. And now we're ready to bounce out stems. So in addition to bouncing this out as a stereo mix, as we might do normally, we would select our audio and bounce. We'll do this as a stereo track. But we would also like to bounce out stems. Now there's a couple things I want to show you before we do that. First of all, I'd like to show you how to consolidate tracks, because as you can see, these tracks are made up of multiple segments. And let's say you wanted to share these tracks with someone who is not using Pro Tools. We'd want them all to be the same length so they would have an easy time lining them up. So to do that, I have selected all of our tracks, and I'm going to go Edit, and I'm going to go Consolidate Clips. Now, as you can see, all of our tracks are exactly the same length. Okay. Now, we have subgrouped our tracks last time, as you can see. So anything that's a voiceover is going to bus 1 and 2, which is going to aux track input 1 and 2. And then everything that's a sound effect is going to bus 3 and 4, which is going into this aux bus. So that way I can control the overall sound of the sound effects. And same thing with the music tracks. All music components are going to 5 and 6 on this aux input. But I also wanted to show you another grouping in Pro Tools, and that is down here. So to bounce individual stems, this will make it easier, because eventually we will want to bounce a voiceover stem, a sound effects stem, and a music stem. So this will make it a little easier. So if I select everything that's a voiceover, in my case there's only one track, but I'm going to group it anyway. And I can go Command G and it will bring up my group window. And I will name this voiceover stem. And we see it pop up here. Then I'm going to group all of my sound effects. I'm going to do that by highlighting a sound effects track and then holding down my Shift key and clicking on everything that is a sound effect. Again, I'm going to go Command G to group it. And lastly, I am going to deal with my music tracks. So on and so forth. Okay, so if I've highlighted them, that means they are active. If I unhighlight them, that means they're not active. This is why it's going to make it easier to bounce individual stems. Let's say I want to bounce my voiceover stem. So I'm going to turn on the group. Excuse me. I'm going to turn on the group for the effects and the music. That way, when I hit mute, it will mute everything associated with that group here. So right now, only thing that will be audible is the voiceover track. To stop the spread of COVID-19. So we will just, in this case, bounce the voiceover stem or the dialogue stem. All right. And then I'll mute the voiceover and I will unmute everything that is a sound effect. And because we have it in a group, it makes it easier. And that way we won't forget any individual tracks. And then we'll bounce that out. Okay, and then finally we will mute the effects and unmute the music. And we will bounce that out. Great. Now we're finished with that. We can turn off the groups if we choose. All right. Now, before we send our complete session off, we want to clear and compact the session. So we'll click on this arrow here, and we will go select all unused. So this is all of the audio tracks and clips that are not used in this session, and then I'm going to clear them. Now we have several options. Remove, we're going to remove clips from the session, but they'll still remain on your hard drive. Delete will permanently delete these from the hard drive. Because maybe I might use these later, I will just remove them. Okay. And we're good. And then we will select again all. And then we will compact. All right, now your session is nice and clean and ready to zip. Unfortunately, Pro Tools doesn't deal with .mov files anymore. In Pro Tools 11, it would have been possible for us to bounce out a QuickTime movie combining both of our video and our audio. But unfortunately, that's not the case now. So we'll use another software, in this case, iMovie. So I've imported the audio, the stereo audio I've mixed, and the video. Plus, if you remember, I started my audio 1 second before the video. iMovie won't allow me to move my video 1 second in time. So what I did was I recorded 1 second of black. So now I'll put my Wash Your Hands movie here. And then I'll drag my audio file to 0 on the timeline and it will all line up. There's no audio on the video, but just in case, I'll pull that down to 0. Now, the next thing I want to do is export this. So in iMovie, I will select Share and File. We will name it per our class convention. And we'll name this particular video Wash Your Hands. And we will go next and save it. And this is our progress wheel here. And our video has been saved with our newly mixed audio.